Okay, so we're going to continue with cars, and now we're going to talk about some strategies I want you guys to know how to do. So, active reading, okay? So, cars is not really about memorizing details, okay? It's about following the author's argument. What does active reading mean? So, you need to ask yourself, what is the author saying? How are they building their case? Are they neutral, critical, skeptical, or persuasive? So, key habits you want to do is identify the thesis early. So, your thesis is often going to be in paragraph 1 or paragraph 2. Watch for contrast word, however, but, yet, often signal important shifts. You want to summarize each paragraph in your head, or you can lightly annotate on your exam. On the MCAT, so you're going to get sort of like a dry erase thing. If you guys remember from elementary school, those little dry erase sheets that you write on and you can erase. You're actually not allowed to erase your work, but you will be allowed to annotate. But everything you write cannot be erased, and if you run out of space, you have to ask for a different dry erase board. Okay, just keep that in mind. So yes, you will be allowed to annotate on a dry erase board. So finding the structure in the chaos. So I understand, right? Cars passages always feel so abstract and overwhelming. But we need to focus on the structure behind the style. You need to think thesis. What is the author's main point? What examples, evidence, or logic do they use? Okay, counter arguments. Do they address the pros and views? How do they respond? And in conclusions, how do they wrap it up? Understanding structure is going to help you guys when you're navigating these questions without rereading the whole thing. You don't want to reread the whole thing. You never want to do that. If you're rereading the whole thing, you're going to run out of time. So, reasoning. Let's go to chapter 5.3, which is going to be reading for reasoning. You're not reading for facts. Do not try to memorize names, dates, or terms, okay? You need to start asking yourself, why did the author include this? What is the detail doing in the paragraph? How does this connect to the larger argument? Cars are words big picture thinking. We don't care about detail tracking. So, chapter 5.4, let's go over some common passage types. So, humanities passages, philosophy, art, literature, often abstract or theoretical. They focus more on definition, contracts, and examples. Social science passages. So you can have sociology, history, or politics. These are more concrete. They often contain case studies or real world issues. Each has a different tone, but your job is always the same. Okay? You need to just understand what the author is saying, why he's saying it, and how. Okay? So let's also go over chapter 6. So in chapter 6, we have questioning strategies, okay? So how do you figure this stuff out? You need to read questions carefully. Before jumping into the answer, always analyze. What is this question really asking me to do? Is it about content, structure, tone, or application? You need to be able to identify your details versus your big picture, your text-based reasoning text-based versus reasoning-based, author's focus versus reader inferred. Again, we never ever want to infer anything, and you never want your own reasoning. You want it to be text-based and author-focused. So, predicting before looking at answers. I do this sometimes. Before reading answer choices, make a prediction based on the passage. It helps you avoid traps, okay? So when I'm reading the passage, I'm always thinking, okay, could this be a question? If I think it could be a question, I'm highlighting it right away. Okay, you need to use keywords from the passage, but twist the meaning. Even a rough prediction allows you to narrow and focus, and this improves your accuracy. And I do 100% agree with this. Shout out Kaplan. So let's go to evaluating the answer choices. So actively eliminate wrong choices. Just don't hunt for the right one. A lot of times, some answers may not make sense. But like if you have four answers that make no sense, but three of them really make no sense, and even though you don't understand why the one that is right makes no sense, well, you just process of elimination. Okay, make sure you use process of elimination. There's always going to be something that makes no sense. So some common traps that they do, extreme wording, okay? So always, never, completely, entirely. Out of scope. So and it introduces ideas not in the passage, okay? There will be a lot of questions like that too. Opposite answers as well. So they contradict the author's argument, and they could either be too specific or too vague. So usually the correct answers are consistent with the passage, often balanced and moderate tone, and sometimes less flashy than the wrong choice. So, handling tough questions. So, if stuck, reread the question, clarify what's being asked. Okay, eliminate just one answer to improve your odds. Again, If you don't get it, it's okay, right? You don't have to get it right. So process of elimination for sure. Use the passage structure, your intro support contracts to guide your decision. And if you're truly unsure, please flag it and return later. We cannot lose time. So now I'm going to talk to you guys about some stuff that I had to work on. So how do you build your strategy and stamina? So again, like we know, it's going to be 10 passage, 90 minutes, about 9 to 10 minutes per passage. You want to spend 3 to 4 minutes reading, okay? I say 5 minutes reading, 5 minutes questions, okay? It should be, you can spend about 10 minutes on a passage, 9 minutes maybe, 10 you can get away with, because again, 10 passages, 90 minutes. So, no, sorry. No, 10 past 90 minutes is legitimately 9 minutes per question. Anyways, though, so you should spend 3 to 4 minutes reading and 5 to 6 minute answering. But if you're like me, again, I have dyslexia. So I'm going to spend more time reading than I am answering. And somebody else may spend less time reading than, you know what I mean? It really just depends on who you are. And make sure that you practice full sections to stimulate real conditions again, and review wrong answers carefully. And remember, there are certain question types that are asked when you're doing cars. So identify the question types that you're not good at. Okay, awesome guys. So chapter 7 is actually about study strategies. So I see you guys there.